Okay, go.
Janim Jnani Vikyayam Swapna Jnana Vadishyate Nityam Nirvishayam Jnanam Tasmadvaitam Na Vidyate. Objects that come into being and are capable of being made the objects of knowledge are as unreal as those known in dream. As duality has no real existence, knowledge is eternal and objectless.
So the topic under discussion is drawn directly from the second chapter of the Mandukya Upanishad, Gaudapada Karika. And that chapter is titled Vaitatya, falseness. So in the first chapter of Mandukya, the Agama Prakarana, we talk about the 4 quarters of Om. A, U, Ma, and silence. A stands for the waking state, U for the dream state, Ma for the deep sleep state, and the Turiya, the 4th, is not some 4th state of mind. It is the 4th in our series of discussion. It's the consciousness in which the 3 mind states move. Now, we need to understand that when we say dream state, that encompasses all altered mind states as well. So if you're doing ayahuasca or taking ecstasy or something like that, all that we would consider dream. So what Gaudapada does in that second chapter is he thoroughly examines why we say the dream state is false. And he gives us a definition of reality with a capital R. Reality with a capital R is that which is never subject to negation. If it isn't there in the beginning, and it's perceived in the middle, and it isn't there in the end, then it is not real by this philosophical definition of reality. For example, I go to sleep. Before I go to sleep, the dream is not there. I dream, the dream appears. I wake up, the dream is not there. It is subject to negation. The question that arises is the waking state permanent? And what Gaudapada does, he examines all the assumptions that we have by which we assume that the waking state is real. And he knocks them all down. He knocks them all down. Well, it's all tied together through memory. Well, is it? Today is the 12th of April of 2023. What were you doing on the 12th of April of 2013? You don't know, probably. You have huge gaps in your memory. 2 people can see the same event. If you've got siblings, you talk about childhood experiences. 2 people can see the same thing and they have a completely different viewpoint of what they are. Agreement is no test of reality. For example, for hundreds and hundreds of years, Europeans thought the world was flat. Never made it so, even though everybody believed it. The heliocentric understanding of the solar system, where the sun is the center rather than the earth, was not believed for hundreds and hundreds of years in Europe. But the earth being the center of the solar system, belief and everybody believing it never made it real. So basically, I won't go into all the arguments. We don't have time this morning, but it's a fascinating chapter, and I highly recommend that you reread it with a good commentary. There's Shankara commentary is excellent. Swamiji has a very good commentary on that. But basically, in the fourth Karika, I think it is, in that second chapter, Gaudapada thunders. The phenomenal world is quite unreal, and the proof of its unreality is that you can see it. Anything that's knowable, anything that's seeable, does not exist in the beginning, has a temporary appearance in the middle, and then ceases to exist in the end. Prior non-existence, existence, subsequent non-existence. Only I has no prior non-existence, has no subsequent non-existence. It is never subject to negation. Whatever phenomena goes on, Swamiji used to call it the Einsteinian world of flux. It is changing constantly. Something there is that is changeless. Me. And then there's a practice implied throughout the day, under any circumstance. Stop. Thin out the mind. Tanu manasa. Introvert the attentive faculty and see if you have changed. Nope. Chidakasharupaham. I'm still of the form of the space of pure awareness. It never changes. Being rooted in this frees us from great fear. It's all okay. And I love what Ram Dass said towards the end of his life. Even dying is completely safe. I had a wonderful student. We're going back, over 30 years. And his name was Michael. He was a printer in San Francisco. And he had AIDS. And one of the things that happens when you're given a terminal diagnosis, I call it sannyas gunpoint. You become a renunciate. And he had Kaposi sarcoma that attacked his brain. And he would have these wild hallucinations. And I remember going over to his home and sitting with him. And we were very honest with one another. And I said, Michael, what's it like to be losing your mind? And he was just lying there, and he looked up at me and he says, "Just another dream, Jim, just another dream." So rooted in the self that even losing his mind was not afflicting. Humbling and wonderful experience. So, all sensory perception comes about like a dream. All my emotional states, all my mind states have their origin in sense perception. I'm so upset. Why? So and so was mean to me, but you had to perceive that they were mean to you. Oh, Jim, the world is going to hell. Everything is so awful. You wouldn't know that if you didn't have sense perception. And all of that comes about like a dream. Seen, but not real. Brahma Satyam Jagan Mithya. Any thoughts on this? Next verse.
ज्ञातुर्ज्ञाते हि नित्योक्ता सुषुप्ते त्वन्यशून्यतः जाग्रज्ज्ञातिस्त्वविद्यात् तद्ग्राह्यं च सदृश्यताम्. As there is nothing other than the self in dreamless sleep, it is said by the Shruti that the consciousness of the knower is eternal. As knowledge is really objectless, the knowledge of objects in the waking state must be due to ignorance, except then that its objects are also unreal.
So here Shankara says, there is no perception of a phenomenal world in the state of Sushupta, deep sleep. I'm going to push back on him a little bit. There is one object that we do perceive in deep sleep, and that is pure ignorance. Did you sleep well last night? Yes. Were you thinking or perceiving a world last night? No. But do you know that you slept soundly? Yes. So something must have been there to know deep sleep. Deep sleep is not samadhi. In samadhi, even the veil of ignorance is gone. But what deep sleep does show us is that without the mind, there is no world. In deep sleep, I have no ego, I have no world perceived. It is anitya, not eternal, not real. Now, a lot of people struggle with this idea, am I aware in deep sleep or not? My particular opinion about it is don't worry about it. Nobody ever got realized in deep sleep. You are an eternal factor. You are not absent in deep sleep. You are aware of nothing. Just like when you close your eyes, you are not blind. You are seeing the back of your eyelids, which occludes your vision. Any thoughts on this? Next verse.
Rupatvadya sattvana drishta yadeha karmata yatha evam vijnana karmatvam bhumno nastiti kamyate. It is clearly understood that Brahman cannot be the object of knowledge, just as it cannot be the object of seeing, etc., as it has no color, form, and the like.
So, I can remember again back when we had the meditation center in San Francisco, there was this young man who came, and he was very stuck because he was trying to get back to what he thought was an experience of the self that he'd had many, many years previously on an LSD trip. And I would ask him, are you experiencing the self now? No, but I'm trying to get back there. Many of us think that I'm going to have an experience of the self. The self is never an object of perception. There's never, I'm in meditation and that's the self. Yet it is not unknown. We know the self in a way completely differently than we know the world. In the world, there's the triple T, the triple factor: knower, knowing, known. But when it comes to me, that triple factor is merged. I do not see, hear, taste, touch, smell myself. I don't emote myself. I don't think myself. Yet I know I am. Who knows that I do? What is the praman, the means of knowledge? Me. What is that which is known? Me. Not as an object, yet I am not unknown. So, what is samadhi? What is self-realization? We do not gain the experience of the self. We remove all the detritus, because my problem is I confuse the self with the not self. I think I'm the body. I think I am that ahankara, that ego sense. I think I am the jiva bhavana, the feeling or the thought of being a person. So we remove that. All that's left is this ground of being, which is always there. When the mind is there, it's experienced as the witness of the phenomenal world. We move the mind and we can't say the self is the witness of anything. Yet it is not unknown. Now, Monday night in the Essence of Yoga Vasishta, Vasishta uses the term tanu vasana, or sometimes you'll hear the term tanu manasa, thinness of mind. And the metaphor I like to use, old-timey days, decades ago, I used to have lace curtains in the dining room. And if you stood in the dining room and looked out of the windows through the lace curtains, you could see what was going on the patio. It did not occlude perception. You could see through the lace. So we actually don't necessarily need to destroy the mind. Just thin the mind. So that we have moments where, with the attention introverted, the no thingness of the self becomes evident. And the scriptures have a wonderful term for this. Aruna. What is the difference between sunrise and dawn? Can anybody out there tell me? Sunrise is when the orb of the sun lifts above the horizon. Dawn is the pre-sunrise gloaming, the pre-sunrise light by which you can see stuff, even though the orb of the sun has not risen above the horizon yet. That is called Aruna in Sanskrit. So also, we have the dawn of knowledge. The mind only literally needs to be thinned, not necessarily totally destroyed. Some of us, we have a deep nirvikalpa, but most of us, it's just thinning the mind. We just have these flashes. Look behind your eyes, notice the noticer. Oh, there's nothing there. Beautiful, beautiful imagery. And the mountain that Ramana Maharshi lived on was Aruna Achala, Arunachala. Chalchalati means to move about. Achala means it never moves. So it's a reference. Even though there's the lace curtains of thought going on, because I've thinned the mind, I can still see Aham Brahmasmi, Shivoham, Shivo. Beautiful poetic image. Any thoughts on this?
I found myself saying something to myself this morning that I haven't said in a while. It's when I'm trying to realize that it's just my ego that's wanting something. I just say I, me, and really acknowledging my hypocrisy and things, you know. And it seems like I'm not this body or this mind, so why am I always so attached to getting my needs met. You know, I don't know.
So
It's kind of interesting.
twofold process, Justin.
Mhm.
First is the awareness. Next is drop it. So we're going all the way back to the qualifications of a fit student. The first two, viveka. Second one is vairagya. Viveka, discriminate. That's exactly what you did between the self and the not self. But now vairagya, that desire to give up attachment and identification.
That's what I was saying, is that I needed
Yeah.
to remind myself of. It was just a constant reminder. You know, my mind still goes there at times, but yes.
Yeah. But for example, there's a state for those of us who are in recovery where someone could say, oh yes, I know I'm an alcoholic. Here, give me another drink. I have the awareness that I'm an alcoholic, viveka, but no vairagya. I still haven't put the drink down.
That was me from the beginning. I always knew. Yeah.
So from the standpoint of a yogi, I can see, oh, that's just ego. But I don't care. I'm just going to run with my ego anyway. That's not yoga. You have to then take the effort, keep dropping it, keep letting it go. Turn the mind back to your essential nature. Good work. All right, next verse.
Chapter 10. Rishi Swarupa Paramartha Darshana Prakaranam. Right conception of the nature of consciousness. Drishiswarupam gagnopam pamam param sakriti dvip. It's a different meter, so I'll start over. Drishiswarupam gaganopamam param sakrit dvibhatam tvaja mekam ksharam alepakam sarvagatam yadyayam tadeva chaham satatam vimuktam om. I am the Supreme Brahman, which is pure consciousness, always clearly manifest, unborn, one only, imperishable, unattached, and all-pervading like the ether and non-dual. I am therefore ever free.
Yes. So at the moment of realization, the insight is not, oh, I was this miserable ego and I was so bound, and now, by God's grace, I, the ego, am liberated. I am now an enlightened soul. I am free. No. The realization is, oh, I was supremely deluded. I have always been free. I never was in bondage. It was all just a delusion. One of the questions I like to ask people, do you incarnate into a dream? It feels like I've incarnated into the body and I am the transmigrating soul and I need to do all this yoga so I can be liberated and I don't have to come back to this funny farm anymore. I want liberation. I want moksha. But the question is, are you really trapped in this zoo The dreamer feels like she is in the dream. And the dream world and the dream body are real. But upon awakening, poof, it's gone. I was not in the dream was in me. And in fact, the dream body and the dream world weren't really in. Swamiji used to say, reincarnation is the genealogy of the ghost in the post, the PurushaSthanam. You see a person in a post because it's dark and there's shadows. You think, oh, it's a mugger. He must have come from a very dysfunctional childhood. And you see, oh, it's just a lamppost. What happened to the genealogy of the mugger? It's real. So also are all my problems, all my karma, all the astrology stuff, all the palmistry stuff, all the stuff the psychotherapists tell you. It's the genealogy of the ghost in the post. And Swamiji would thunder, the way to heal the mind is to get out of the mind. Have this shift in your identity. Next verse.
Drishistu shuddho aham vitreya atmako na mayasti kinchit dvishayah swabhavatah purastira shrodhav madhyascha sarvatah sampurna bhuma Dvaja Atmani Sthitaha. Pure and changeless consciousness, I am by nature, devoid of objects to illumine. Unborn and established in the self, I am all-pervading Brahman in the front, oblique, upward, downward, and all other directions.
Yes. So sometimes it seems like the self is behind or in back, or we'll say I look within. Actually, the self is nowhere located or everywhere located. And one of the cool things when I peep out of the senses, I see a world of name and form. What's really going on? Set that idea on the shelf and let's go to the teaching of how do I know me? And the scriptures use the term swayambhu. I am self-evident. Self knows itself. Now listen carefully. When I perceive the phenomenal world, it's still the self knowing the self. That's all that's going on. It's all the self ever does. Can't even call it a doing. It's its nature. Self-evidence is its nature. Self-luminosity is its nature. Self-effulgence. It's the eternal nature of the self, with or without the appearance of phenomena. So again, using the three questions we get in Yoga Vasishta. Who am I? What is this world? How has it come about? I am that eternal Brahman. Chidananda Rupa. What is this world? Sarvam Kalvidam Brahma. It's all Brahma. What are the names and forms then? Just imagination. Just images appearing in consciousness. Not solid, not real. Next verse.
Ajo amarashcheva tatha ajaro amritaha swayam prabha sarvagato aham dvayaha na karanam karyamattiva nirmalaha sadaikatriptascha tato vimukta om. I am unborn, deathless, devoid of old age, immortal, self-effulgent, all-pervading, and non-dual. Perfectly pure, having neither cause nor effect, and contented with the one bliss, I am free. Yes.
So, the bija vasana, the root attachment, is deha vasana. Identification with attachment to the body. We see the body being born, growing up, growing old, getting sick, and perishing. But look to your direct experience. Throughout childhood, adolescence, early adulthood, as we've gotten older, you are still you. It's eternal. One of the most difficult things for the mind to really grasp. Chidanandarupaha. My nature, my form is bliss consciousness. No, it's not. The world is bliss. I am a black hole and I need stuff. That's what my mind says. And it's the fruit of ignorance that I believe that I'm spiritually impoverished. I need. And it's all about people, places, things, and conditions. I play whack-a-mole with an illusory world. I try to make it stand still here and there when it's always changing. Not realizing what is it that the mind wants. It wants to come home to the self. Let go of the world. Yoga Vasishta talks about the person who finds the chintamani, the wish-fulfilling gem, then ignores it, searches for and finds colored glass and thinks they're so smart. That's you and me. Over and over again. Meditation, my mind retires into the self. Then I open my eyes and I forget who I am. And then I think, I need, give me. You're not behaving, bang, bang, bang. What are you doing, Jim? I'm hitting myself on the head with a hammer. Why? Because it feels so good when I stop. I want more money. I want a different house. I want a different wife. I want a different husband. I want a different job. I want different. I want. I got a little bit of it. Cray. That's what we do. It isn't expressed any more clearly than the Four Noble Truths of Buddhism. There it is. Can I be permanently free from suffering? Yes. Come home. Realize your self-nature. Gita. When a person casts off all the desires of the mind, O Partha, and is satisfied in the self, by the self, then they're said to be a person of steady wisdom. Yet such is the power of Maya, having heard this over and over and over again, having had the direct experience, being here in class, going into samadhi, feeling the bliss of your own self-nature. You go home, world isn't behaving. It's not happening my way. Suffer. Next verse.
Sushupta Jagrita Swaptascha Darshana Nam Mesti Kinchit Swameveha Mohanam Swatascha Tesham Parato Apyasa Tvatasari Asturiya Evasmi Sada Dvayaha.
I think that the tone for it is da 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 da. It's like that double meter you find in Gita. I might try that. I'm not sure, but I think that's it. Anyway. What was the English with that one?
No perception whatever in waking, dream, or deep sleep belongs to me, but it is due to delusion. For these states have no independent existence, nor an existence depending on the self. I am, therefore, the fourth, which is the seer of all the three states, and without a second.
Yes. So, waking, dream, deep sleep, altered mind states, all of it without exception. If it is knowable, it is caused by the refraction, I like to call it, of the subtle intellect, which splits consciousness into knower, knowing, and known. Yet the light of me is never really changed. It's a spiritual optical illusion. But seeing things can be powerful. Way back in 1973, I was living in this big 3-story Victorian in Berkeley, Dwight and Telegraph. And somehow we'd acquired this prism. It was like a piece of glass that was 3-sided. And we used to play this game. We'd stand at the top of the stairs, and you'd look through the prism and then try to walk down the stairs. Well, it distorted everything. It made the riser seem like it was like 2 feet tall. Now, you knew that the riser was only what, 6-8 inches? How high are standard risers? I don't know. But your eyes would say, oh no, it's way down there. And it's so funny because you'd see people holding onto the rail and just fishing for the step with their foot. It was very funny because even knowing it was an illusion, you want to believe your eyes. It's how the brain's wired that way. This is no different. It's all Sarvam Kalvidam Brahma. Verily, it's all God. Verily, it's all consciousness. Kalu means true that. That's the truth. Don't worry. Yeah. Knowing even those images that are painful, they will pass. Next verse.
Sharira buddhindriya dukha santatirna me na chaham mama nirvikarataha asattva hetoscha tathaiva sataterasatva masyaha sapto hi drishyavat. As I am changeless, the series producing pain via the body, the intellect, and the senses are not myself nor mine. Moreover, they are unreal, like dream objects, there being a reason for inference that they are so.
So again, which is more real, the nightmare or the pleasant dream? Both are unreal. Yoga never says that the phenomenal world doesn't times show up like a nightmare. But it never touches me. It will pass. It's just the play. The mind is the world is the mind. If my mind is attached to sense perception and extroverted, it is thrown about like a boat on a turbulent sea. Get above it. This is why. Next verse.
Idam tu satyam mama nasti vitriya vitriya vikaraheturna hi me advayatvaha na punya papam na cha moksha bandhane na chasti varnashrama ta asharirataha. But it is true that I have no change, nor any cause of a change, as I am without a second. As I do not possess a body, I have neither sin nor virtue, neither bondage nor liberation, neither a caste nor an order of life.
So, mind you, the scripture does not say that spirituality will make you hit all the green lights of life. I was talking with a friend who had a disagreement about Swamiji's particular politics that he perceived. I don't know, didn't spend time watching the video. So his conclusion, oh, he must not have been realized. Do enlightened beings make mistakes? Yes. There is no such thing as perfection at the level of the equipment. First of all, what I think is perfect is just an idea. And the equipment by definition is finite and changing. The mark of the person of steady wisdom is they know they're not the body. Others may think this behavior is wrong. But the person rooted in knowledge is not concerned particularly about notions of right and wrong. virtue and vice, either in their own equipment or anybody else's in the end. Just try not to be a jerk. That's good enough. And guess what? At times you will fall short of that. Oops. Oops. Another good prayer. Ouch. Let it go. Freedom does not come from having an idea of a perfect body, perfect mind, perfect behavior. Listen carefully. If you are a perfectionist, by definition, all of your efforts will lead to disappointment. If you are a perfectionist, everybody else's efforts will lead to disappointment by definition. It's not the way to find peace. Give up our concerns about the foibles of this world. And of course, this is the deepest understanding of compassion and forgiveness. Any thoughts on this? Next one.
Anadito nirgunato na karma me phalam cha tasmat param mo aham dvayah. Yatha namaha sarvagatam na lipyate tatha hyayam deha gato api sukshmataha. Beginningless and devoid of attributes, I have neither actions nor their results. Therefore, I am the Supreme One without a second. Though in a body, I do not get attached on account of my subtleness, like the ether, which, though all-pervading, does not get tainted.
So, the person of steady wisdom has given up concern as to whether or not their equipment behaves appropriately according to some internalized idea. Now, this is not licensed to bad behavior. Hopefully, if you've been a yogi, you've developed the habits of an ethical life, the yamas and niyamas in some form or another. The person of steady wisdom is going to make mistakes according to the law. But it no longer agitates their mind. The person of steady wisdom knows that other people are going to make mistakes. What's a mistake? Someone doesn't live up to my idea the way I think it should be. but she sees it all as Leela. Just play. Next one.
Sada cha bhuteshu samo aham meshwarah kshara ksharabhyam paramo hyathotamah paratma tattvascha tathadvayo api sanviparya yena bhimatasvavidyaya. Though I am the Lord, always the same in all beings, beyond the perishable and the imperishable, and therefore the supreme, the self of all, and without a second, I am considered to be of a contrary nature on account of ignorance.
So because of foolishness, because of the veiling power of ignorance, I do not know who I am. And as soon as I think I am a person, I think everybody else is too. This is this mutual superimposition. Not only have I superimposed upon myself the qualities of the not self, but I have externalized my self nature and superimposed it as other on the world. Mark is over there. Mark is his buddy. Mark has a consciousness separate from Brahman, which is good or bad. Most importantly, Mark is joy giving. Somebody else is misery producing. When in fact, the truth is, when I look into the eyes of anyone or any sentient being, a dog, drop my concern about the body or the mind. The conscious being looking out of those eyes is myself, the self. Endeavor to relate to the God that is the self. Everyone you encounter, watch your world appear to change as you invoke the divinity of the people. All right, we'll quit here. What verse are we on for next week?
Verse 9 of chapter 10.
Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Sri Guru Pyo Namaha. Hari Om. Oh, that's it. Thank you all.